Flash.
Big Ange, big return, has a familiar feeling about it. It's another defeat in North London.
The stadium exploded and Ange, well, he can't quite believe it. Swansea 3, Nottingham Forest 2.
He is the worst manager ever to grace the Premier League. Now there's a statement for you.
He's made Nottingham Forest Spurs.
And the full-time whistle has just gone. Nottingham Forest 0, Sunderland 1.
Sacked in the morning. The chant of the Nottingham Forest fans.
The fans are disappointed. They're allowed to, they're entitled to have an opinion on it. I heard their opinion.
6 games now for Ange Postecoglou. No victory.
I knew I was getting sacked at Tottenham about 3 or 4 months before I did. Didn't stop me winning something. It doesn't enter my head.
Ange Postecoglou, well, the wait for a first win carries on. 7 matches, that's now without a win. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of talk about his position in the morning. Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0.
Dear, oh dear, not going well at the moment for Ange Postecoglou or Nottingham Forest. They were beaten 2-0 at St James's Park yesterday, and Ange Postecoglou will face showdown talks with owner Evangelos Marinakis this week. His winless run as manager has been extended to 7 games after that loss up in Newcastle. Postecoglou had this to say when speaking after the latest setback.
What's wrong with something being hard? Seriously, what's wrong with it? Why does everything have to be so... Why do we want everything just delivered, nicely packaged? I'm sure your parents had a struggle in their life, right? And they didn't give up. You may have even been a lost cause at some point, but they didn't give up on you, right? So what I'm saying is... No. But what I'm saying is, right, I'm not having a go at you, please don't take it that way, is that, you know, it seems to be these days that as soon as something goes wrong, well, that's it. It's wrong. It'll change it, break it up. Like... Everything that needs kind of something fixed is invariably going to go through a tough time. This is not unfamiliar territory for me, as I said.
Yeah, that just sounded like a lot of rambling to me, to be honest. And he sounds like a man in trouble. He sounds like he did at the end of that time at Spurs, where he's kind of grasping for things in press conferences. Let's get a Forest view, though. Let's bring in Greg Oram from the Talking Reds podcast. Greg, how you doing, mate?
I wish I could be a lot better than I am, but thanks for having me.
Oh, sorry about that. I mean, I'm a Newcastle fan. I was at the game yesterday. A good day for us, but I did have my eye on Forest as well. And I'd have to say, especially in that second half, I did think they were poor. And it felt like the goals were kind of inevitable in the end for Newcastle. I mean, what have you made of Forest under Ange so far?
Well, it's been disappointing in a nutshell. There were large bodies of the fans in the first place that really didn't want Ange Postecoglou to come in and be the manager, and I was probably one of them. And ultimately, you know, when the change is made in the manner that it was made, it was a real surprise. None of us saw it coming. This was not supposed to be this way. We were expecting this season to be, you know, one of the best in our history after last year, and the way that Nuno galvanised us and got us into Europe. So when it all unravelled with the press conferences and him coming out and speaking against the owner, and then you know the sacking that came, and within hours, 12 hours, 13 hours, Ange Postecoglou's coming in. You know, it kind of almost swept our feet away. Our legs were taken from underneath us. But I'm one of those fans that says, look, this guy's coming in, so we've got to try and back him and get behind him. And so you go into the Ange era with a sense of optimism, thinking, well, look, Mr. Marinakis, we have to trust him. You know, he's brought us out of the Championship after all those years, and he's made a lot of decisions that have gone the way we want them to go. So bringing Ange in was not a popular decision, I don't think. And we find ourselves 7 games in, really up against it. I mean, so far it hasn't been great. I've been trying to give balance on my podcast by saying, look, you know, you got to give this guy time. Even the Arsenal game, I almost write that off. He'd been through the door less than a couple of days or so. And I felt at the time he was brave to take the job before Arsenal. Many managers might have said, you know what, appoint me on the Sunday and I'll take over from thereafter. But he came in, and it's on his record now as a defeat. And then the Swansea thing, when going 2-0 up against a championship side, and then you end up losing and capitulating. Okay, fine. We saw some good football, 10, 11 changes and so on. So we're already making excuses for him. And this is something that Spurs fans that are friends of mine have said.
Feels like we might have lost Greg there. But, I mean, it's interesting what Greg was saying about giving Ange time, because I've heard a couple of people saying this, and as much as he's heading into it with all of these defeats or lack of wins, really, I feel like this international break might have come as a good time for Ange. Greg, I think we have you back. I was just wondering there. You mentioned about Ange having time and giving him time. I mean, when you look at the record from Spurs and Forest, it's 30 defeats in his last 49 Premier League games. That to me just feels very concerning because there's a consistency there with it. When you say about giving him time, how much more time do you feel would be acceptable if he carries on this winless run?
I just don't know. I was wobbling. I was at the match against Midtjylland, and the vitriol and passion from the fans in the morning. I wasn't one of them, but it was really toxic. And so going into Newcastle, I don't think any of us expected anything from it. We just wanted a good performance just to kind of get those green shoots coming through again. First half was, more promising. Second half was disaster. How much time? I mean, we're in an international break. Some might say that now's the time to make the switch, if it's going to happen. But it is 7 games. It's 3 weeks. It's so harsh. Ten Hag was shown the door by Leverkusen after, a couple of weeks. And I winced when that news came through thinking, my God, is this what football's becoming now? But there's so many fans now that are saying, listen, this is just not working. Ange was never going to work. It's not working. But ultimately, I think emotion's getting in the way of sense, perhaps. And I'm guilty of it as well. I last night I kind of said, look, I'm still on the fence. And then when I heard Russell Martin had got sacked from Rangers, I thought, you know what? All those Rangers fans were saying it for ages. It's just not working. And then the inevitable happens and he's gone. And I'm thinking, you know what? Let's just get Ange out now. Let's make a change. But who's going to come in? Who's really going to take over? All the fans are trying to decide who they'd want to come in. Listen, he's probably going to be in charge at Chelsea. We're probably going to lose that game, so therefore, maybe you should make the change now. We've got Chelsea, Porto, and an away trip to Bournemouth, our bogey team, and they beat us 5-0 last year, and they're playing so well. And look at what Bournemouth have done with all their transitions, with losing players, and they're purring and doing so well in the league. And Forest just look an absolute basket case at the moment. It's really, really worrying.
I just want to ask about the fan feeling at the moment towards Marinakis, because like you've kind of pointed out, it does feel like all of that good work that had been done by him and Forest, and they were in such a good moment. It feels like it's unravelling very, very rapidly. How are fans viewing him at the moment, and that, the way that all played out with Nuno leaving the club?
Well, Marinakis has done great things for our club. And I know that he is a controversial pantomime villain, in the media and with other fans and so on. And I've got nothing but the utmost respect for him. But he's really under the spotlight with this decision. And that also makes me think that maybe he won't sack Postecoglou, because that's almost admitting that he got it wrong. And I don't know him, obviously, but he just doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that wants to make that admission so quickly. We know that he's not shy in pulling the trigger. He's done that in the past, but not so much at Forest lately. I mean, Cooper, really rode a bit of a storm. He eventually got let go. The whole Nuno thing and him getting sacked was just weird. There's talk that he was looking for a new manager in the summer in an attempt to get the change of style of football from what Nuno gave us last season, the style of football that was working, by the way. But then there's also those that say, look, towards the end of last season, we dropped off a little bit. We didn't get Champions League qualification. We really should have done, but we couldn't win a game of football at the end of the season. So Marinakis is the guy that makes all of the decisions. So we have to kind of trust him. He is under the microscope from a lot of fans now at the moment, saying the big guy's getting this one wrong. So a lot of them want him to do the right thing, and as far as they're concerned, the right thing, and pull the trigger on Ange straight away. But, it's tough. He's put a lot of money into the football club. He's made a lot of changes for the better of the football club. It's a very aggressive, almost brand new startup that he's trying to implement at the City ground since we've come up. We're in season 4 of being back in the Premier League. And a lot of people I speak to who aren't Forest fans say, God, is it only 4 years? It feels like you've been back forever, because so much has happened at Forest on and off the pitch. You know, the tweets, the points deduction, you know, the Gary Neville getting banned last season, and so on. I mean, the list goes on. So he is a character that draws attention from all quarters. I mean, I love the guy because of what he's done for us and where we were. But I have to be honest with you, at the moment, you know, I'm almost kind of in a little bit of a brain fuzz. I'm not quite sure what to think, whether I want Ange to stay, whether it's the right thing to do, whether he should go now. You know, I'm really kind of wobbling. But in terms of Mr. Marinakis, you know, he's been great for us, but, you know, he's got a big decision to make. But it's not one that he will shirk. But I still think he'll give Ange a bit more time. Yeah, I've got to say, as a neutral, I find Marinakis absolutely box office. To be honest, whether it's good things or bad. Just finally, very quickly, Greg. I mean, at the moment, Forest are 17th, and it's not been a decent start to the season. And we saw where Spurs finished in the league last time out. So if they do decide to stick with Ange, I mean, it sounds bizarre, really, asking this, given the ambitions at the start of the season, but. How worried are you about the threat of potentially being involved in a relegation battle? Very worried. I was being really cocky in the last couple of weeks because I was saying and, you know, suggesting, if we go on and win the Europa League, I would take 17th in the table all day long in a heartbeat, because ultimately the winning of a European trophy and galvanising ourselves for next season would be an amazing thing. But, you know, that cockiness is gone now, because the Europa League looks a million miles away after last Thursday's performance. And actually staying in the Premier League has to be the priority. And we are in it. The league this season is a much better league than it has been the last 2 or 3. The teams that have come up, the Burnleys, definitely Sunderland and definitely Leeds United, you know, they're all playing a much better style of football, a more pragmatic style that is set out for keeping them in the Premier League. And I tipped Brentford and West Ham to go down at the start of the season, and they're down there with us. I didn't think we would be, but ultimately at the moment, that's where we are. Look, we're 7 games in. Whoever takes us forward has got a lot of football to play. There's a lot more points on the board that we, you know, will hopefully be able to get, you know, in our back pocket and get us flying up the table. But at the moment, I'm worried. And, you know, a lot of Forest fans are worried. This is not how it was supposed to be. You know, we were supposed to be at least mid-table. I think most of us would have accepted that with no problem and really kind of enjoying the European campaign. They got underway really well away at Betis, but the Midtjylland game was a real disappointment. We played Porto after the international break. And there's a lot of uncertainty at the club at the moment, and that's the thing that's getting the fans really worried. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Greg, if you do keep Ange, he always wins something in his second season, so at least you know you'd be top of the championship. Thanks very much for coming on, mate. Thank you. There we go. Greg Oram there from the Talking Reds podcast. They'll be all right, won't they, Forrest? Surely it can't be. Surely it can't go that wrong. It can't. This is the Social here on TalkSport with William Hill. 18 plus gambleaware.org. Next up, we're going to take a look at the championship. Whether we're at home or away or any other time, a billionaire healthy debate with news and stats all important at the Forest Place. Come join Greg and Richard right here on Talking Red.